And I'd like to ask, who in the audience is here for the first time? All right, well, I'm only going to say one thing, see you next year, because once you have been sucked into this vortex that is the amazing experience of the Nebraska Star Party, you are going to want to come back. Not just for the beautiful dark skies, as some of you have already seen, and not only for the wonderfully warm welcome that we get, but also for the amazing organizing committee of this party. Let's give them a huge applause. Thank you so much. So I'm extremely lucky to be able to come here and share some words on Sky and Telescope. It's a magazine that I've been working for 7 years now. I was in professional astronomy before, but I sort of got into astronomy because I would pick up my dad's issues of Sky and Telescope and leaf through them even before I could read. So I'd like to see a show of hands. Who's a subscriber to Sky and Telescope magazine? Wonderful, thank you so much. Have you been a subscriber for more than 10 years? Put your hand up. More than 20 years? 30 years? 40 years?
I don't remember.
50 years? One of the things that we love the best working at Sky and Telescope is, of course, our work is fantastic. It's amazing bringing astronomy to a large audience. But it's also the love that we feel from our subscribers, our long-term subscribers, and we love them back. So thank you very much, all of you who are subscribers. You may now take a nap. And I will now try to describe a little bit about what we do at Sky and Telescope for those of you who aren't, so that you maybe get to know a little bit about this amazing product that we have. So Sky and Telescope is the name of the magazine. We have been through a bit of a roller coaster. Sky and Telescope was privately owned until the early 2000s when Nebraska bought the magazine. And then FW Media came in, and FW Media went bankrupt in 2019, 2 years after I started there. But thankfully, the American Astronomical Society stepped in and bought us. The American Astronomical Society, for those of you who don't know, is a society geared towards professional astronomers. They organize 2 big meetings, one in the winter, one in the summer, and they provide the support for the publications of the scientific journals. But they had, for a long time, wanted to embark or get into the amateur community. So when the occasion presented itself, they bought Sky and Telescope, and we've been with them since 2019. So this is the very first issue of Sky and Telescope. It's from November 1941, and there was a chap called Charlie Federer. And I have to always be careful when I say his name, because I'm a big tennis fan, so I always slip and call him Roger Federer. He wasn't Roger, he was Charlie. And he merged 2 magazines, one that had been founded in 1935 called The Sky, and one that had been founded in 1931 called The Telescope, and he merged them together and very unimaginatively called it Sky and Telescope. But that's what we've been called since 1941, and we have published continuously, monthly, every single month, without fail, until, the present day. We had in November 2021, we had our 80th issue, and we're continuing to publish monthly, and I hope that this will continue for a nice long time, because we have great fun content that we produce each month. So one of the main things, you are all observers here, and one of our primary focuses is observing material. So we have several sections in the magazine, and some of them are monthly, they're monthly columns. They're Sky at a Glance, where you can just see a couple of bullet points that tell you some of the highlights of observing events that happen during the month of the issue. We have the central star chart that is flanked by the lunar almanac, so you always know the phases of the moon, and you have librations here. And then one of my favorite columns, which is binocular highlight. And these are here in the centerfold that you can rip out of the magazine and take it with you to the observing field if you want, and you always have a star chart with you. And then some of the other regular monthly content. We have a planetary almanac that shows you the planets, the magnitudes of the planets each month, the positions. We have celestial calendar that is now written by one of our regular columnists, Bob Kay, and that will highlight specific events of the month, and we always have the data on Jupiter's moons. And then Sun, Moon, and Planets is a sort of step up from Sky at a Glance, where we showcase a few specific events that involve the moon and some of the planets. And so this is mostly, a lot of this is sort of like naked eye stuff, and this is a way to sort of warm up during the month. What are the things that you can see with either naked eye or easy equipment like binoculars, and sometimes even just small telescopes. Then another big part, this is what I take care of. I deal with the observing section, the features of the observing features in the magazine, and this is where we start to go into a little bit more detail of what it is that you can observe each month. And so we have had, these are all covers, various covers. We can do things like walk through the night with various open clusters that are visible at any time at that specific time of the year. Or we can focus on a single object and all the things that you can see and derive from your observations of that object. We can also do a double header where we might have a specific article that goes deep into a particular feature, or and paired with a tour. Let's say here we were looking at Cygnus, and so we had Howard Babbage that focused on the veil, and Matt Waddell, our binocular highlight author, who then took us on a tour through Cygnus. What can you see with binoculars in Cygnus? Or then we can also look at, for example, stellar nurseries in faraway galaxies. So we do a combination of either focused observing on a particular object or sort of walk through the night of various types of objects. And each observing article is pretty much laid out like this. We have some deep field images. We have a finder chart. So you don't need any software with you. You can just take our article with you to the observing field. Don't forget your red light flashlight, and then you can use our finder charts to help you find your way to the objects in question. We always have a table of data. So for those of you that do want to plug in your coordinates into your telescope computers and so on, you are able to do that. And then we describe sometimes a little bit of the history of the object, a bit of the history of the discovery, and so on. So these are the observing features. And each monthly issue of Sky and Telescope has an observing feature, so you always have something fun to look forward to that month in terms of observing. Then we also do another, every 2 months we do Going Deep, which is one of another column that I curate and I edit. And this is lots of fun, but as the name suggests, these are for the really big telescopes. Here you're talking about the 18 inches, the 25 inches, the 32 inches. The general observing features are usually for a variety of instruments, from binoculars to small telescopes up to maybe 8, 10 inches. And then Going Deep is when we really take out the big guys. But it's the same structure. A little bit of history, background to the object, the data, and then finder charts so that you can locate what you're looking for. But observing is not the only thing that we cover in the magazine. We also have several departments dedicated to astrophotography. How can you take better astrophotographs? And a whole bunch of fun stuff for gearheads. How to build your own telescope. What's the best workbench that you can use? How can you mount your big old binoculars and so on? And so we've had several different stories that cover all the different aspects of the more technical side of observing, let's say. And then I was chatting with somebody over pizza. This is a department, one of the departments that is pretty much everybody's favorite. And that is historical and community aspect of observing. So we have lovely historical articles where our editors go and dig into phenomenal archives to try and find some of the historical artifacts that to accompany these articles. But we also deal a lot with community. And we cover stories about visits to observatories or star parties. We used to do a lot more star parties. We're not doing that anymore, but I hope we revive that at some point. The exception here is Stellafane. Stellafane is the oldest star party in the country, and it takes place near Springfield, Vermont. And it was started by the amateur telescope makers of Springfield, and they're celebrating their 100th anniversary. So maybe in 70 years' time, we can do 100 years of the Nebraska Star Party, and we'll feature it on the cover. And this was a fantastic article as well by Dana Sobel. You probably know her, big science writer, all about the life and work of Henrietta Swan-Leavitt. So we also cover these historical, community-style articles, and then of course we do the science. What is the science? Because all of us, when we point our telescopes up into the sky and we're looking at all these objects, it's fun to see the famous fuzzies or the rings of Saturn or the bands of Jupiter or the clusters of stars. But it's also really important to know what they are, what they do, why they're there. And so we cover science news, things that are in the news, things that that we're still struggling to understand, big events like when Betelgeuse suddenly decided to dim, and we cover exoplanets. And many of these science articles are accompanied by very detailed and informative infographics. And these are also great fun to do. They take a lot of work, but you have so much information at your fingertips. And we don't only publish a monthly magazine, but we also have a website. And the website is something that we're constantly working on. It's skytelescope.org, very easy to remember. And we have every day we strive to have a new story here in the center slot, but we also, we cover observing stories once every 2 weeks. We have an observing blog. We publish an observing blog by Bob King, who's also the author of Celestial Calendar. But you can come on here onto our website, and we have these various tabs up top that are pretty self-explanatory. News, it's all the news articles that are aggregated here. Various observing-related material. We have observing for beginners, what telescope to buy, how to use binoculars, and so on. That you'll find all under the observing tab. And the tools tab is quite a lot of fun. We have some neat little features here. We have interactive sky charts, so you can plug in your coordinates, and you can see what the sky is like that night. Basically, a very simple planetarium, but you get the sky chart for that night. And we have, you can see where the moons of Jupiter are. We have all the way down here, you can also see what Algol is doing. And so we have all these various tools that you can access through skytelescope.org. And then for those of you who are here at the Star Party for the first time, and those of you who are maybe not yet club members, we have under the community tab, we have resources for finding an astronomy club near you. And here, I know in Nebraska, we have two of the finest astronomy clubs, one in Omaha, one in Lincoln, right? And, but if you're not from Nebraska, and if you're, because I know there are people here who have come from out of state. Not only me, but people have come from quite far. I talked with a lady before who's from New Jersey, and I spoke with a gentleman this morning who's from Maine. So Nebraska, you're also getting people from, pretty far away. So if you are from one of these, if you don't know where your nearest club is, you can just come to our website. You can look for a club near you. These clubs are one of the best ways to get to know astronomy, how it works, observing, get to know the community. And we also list our the star parties up there. So the Nebraska Star Party is also listed here. And then finally, as I mentioned at the beginning, we are owned now by the American Astronomical Society. They want to dive deeper into the amateur community, and so they are developing certain things. And one of the things that they're developing is the amateur affiliate class of membership. Most professional astronomers in actually all over the world can join the American Astronomical Society as a member, and then they have access to the conferences, to the journals, they can publish in the journals and so on. And the AAS has now decided that they want to provide the same service for amateurs. So if you're an amateur astronomer and would like to attend their conferences with the amateur affiliate membership, you can present a paper or a poster at the AAS meetings. The AAS meetings, there are two big ones. There's one in the winter and one in the summer. Winter meeting is always in January. The summer meeting is always in June. And you, as an amateur member, amateur affiliate of the AAS, you can attend those conferences and present a paper. And at the same time, so you have access also to all the other AAS resources, like the AAS Job Register, which posts, if you're interested in a job that somehow related to astronomy, you can go on there and see what they have on offer. Then, another thing that the AAS wanted to develop was those of you who are Sky Telescope subscribers. As we said, we already love you, thank you so much. But they're just now introducing a sustaining subscriber category. So you have to pay a little more, but then you're going to get all kinds of nice little perks and everything. And this is slowly in development now at the moment. So if anybody's interested, you can go to the AAS website and look for the sustaining subscriber. And finally, we have a shop. And it's simply shop@sky.com, and there you'll find all of the products that some of you already know and love, like the Pocket Sky Atlas, the Jumbo Sky Atlas. You can also find issues of the magazine. There's the jumbo version of the Pocket Sky Atlas. We have puzzles. We have the Skygazers Almanac that comes automatically with the January issue, and it gives you all of the celestial events for the whole year ahead. But you can buy the poster version. The one that comes in the January issue is just like a fold-out paper, but this is a full-size poster version, so you can put it on your window or on your wall, and you have all of the celestial events, or the main celestial planetary events, and all of that at your fingertips. And something that I know a lot of people have been pretty excited about, William Bell was closing down business. The chap who runs it, he had decided he wants to retire. But the AAS has now acquired all of the stock backstock of William Bell, and so we are now providing through the AAS through Shop at Sky. You can now buy several of the William Bell books, and they are actually continuing the annals of the deep sky, and they are going to develop new products as well. And then we have a little YouTube channel. So if you just want to go and check out, we do little videos on the Perseid meteor showers, eclipses, lunar eclipses, and things like that. And so this is basically, in a very small nutshell, basically what we provide. The main message I'd like to get across is that we love what we do, we love astronomy, we love that you love astronomy, and we would really love to continue doing astronomy together. So our very corny tagline, alternate tagline, we reach for the stars, no rocket required, and we would love for you to join us on this journey. So thank you very much. I have some cards that I'm going to be handing out. Everybody here gets a free downloadable issue of, I think, the April issue of Sky and Telescope, where we talk about where we write about the eclipse in 2024. And if you're not yet a subscriber, you get to subscribe at the discounted club rate. Everybody here, so I'll be handing out these cards, and I want to thank you very much for your attention.